Welcome to Brain Break. I'm Lloyd James, and this is where we uncover real stories of people who are changing the game. No surface level stories, just raw, honest conversations about the challenges they have faced and what truly shaped them to be what they are today. Let's get into today's episode. Michael.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
I am genuinely so privileged and so happy the fact that you kept hounding me as saying that you wanted to come on the podcast.
You're making me sound like I'm a nagging girlfriend.
Mate, look, in a very, very good way, because it was because I think you nagging got me to do something about it.
Well, you were talking about this for ages as well, and you are very much like me, a creative, and just always having a plethora of ideas. And, you know, sometimes you just need that little bit extra nudge. And also, I just love chatting with you. So that's why I was like, let's just get it done.
Let's get it done. And we are here literally today in the Brain Breaks studio. And what a privilege. Michael, I'm going to bring it right back for a moment, right? So you're 28 years old.
That's correct.
Right. That makes you a millennial / Gen Z.
I am, millennial. I think I just am like before the Gen Z era. If you're like getting technical, search it up on Google or something. I know I've done it once because me and my wife were trying to decide whether we were millennial or Gen Z, and she is in the Gen Z, and she was furious with that because she does not consider herself a Gen Z person at all.
Really? So you see, I find that really interesting because I find that people, I find that the people within the early 20s have just come out of school. They're in that sort of 20, 21, 22, they're in that prime Gen Z area. I'll call them the Snapchat era because call it Instagram millennial.
Yep.
TikTok?
Yeah.
Millennial / Gen Z. I feel we're in that category.
Yeah, I feel like we are in the category of there was limited technology before that, and now what we are experiencing is just technology is just continues to soar, and social media platforms are just everywhere now, and it is such an important thing to be aware of.
I totally agree. And only the other day I downloaded something called Substacks. Have you heard of that?
Never
That's a
heard of
new
that.
one. And then there's a new one. And I only just found out that there's TikTok Notes. Do you know about that one?
Yeah, I know about TikTok Notes.
TikTok Notes,
Yep.
and I was like, hold on a minute, where are we going with all this? Like, there's many, little subcategories.
I think TikTok Notes is mainly meant for, photo posting or, status, just updating, your followers and people on what it is that you're doing. Where, TikTok, I view TikTok as, funny video content that's engaging, educational as well. I think both of the platforms have their desired sort of what it's meant for, what category. But hey, I'm no social media marketing manager expert.
Oh look, some people claim that I am, but I just kind of know what works, and I think that it really falls down to where your audience are sitting, and where you're going to go and find them,
Absolutely.
where they're hanging out. And I think when you create content in any shape, way of form, I think you got to go to the platforms where your audience are going to be hanging out, and if that's through blog posts or if it's going to be on the Snapchat, which I'll be honest, I downloaded and that's as far as it got. I kind of got an account. I kind of deleted it. That's kind of where I've decided, no, I'm not going to go down the Snapchat route. Anything else that comes from now on, I'm gonna delve into it. But Michael, okay, before I get really deep, right, into more about who you are and everything, but just a really simple question. I mean, it's like, you sound like you're a busy man. What's your favourite snack?
Ooh. I am very, very partial and very known for always having a chocolate in the afternoon, no matter if I'm working my day job, if I'm in the studio or something. I love Bueno chocolates.
Oh, Bueno, yes.
And people will be like, oh, well, what is it, the milk chocolate one? Is it the creamy one? Because there are different ones. I like them all. There's just something about the way that's created. I'd say that's definitely one of my favorite snacks, if not the favorite snack. I also do like a little bit of red licorice, a little bit of a sweet tooth.
Love that. Love that. I mean, I think snacks are super important.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a reason why for that, because like, would a snack describe who you are?
Ooh, I mean, as you said, I am a busy man. I am always doing things, so like hundreds and thousands, if that is a snack.
Hundreds of thousands, yes.
Well, just because I've just got hundreds and thousands of things going on.
I love that. I know. Oh, no, I love that. I love that. Hey, Michael, obviously, for those of you that don't know who you are, can you give us, I know we've gone into snacks and we're talking about Gen Z and your age and everything, but, you know, in your own words, who are you and what is it exactly that you do?
Okay. Well, my name's Michael Caird, for those playing at home. I am a music producer, DJ, artist, promoter, kind of just doing anything that is a creative element, but I love music. Ever since I was a kid, I just would always listen to music. I used to be that kid that used to wake up early morning on a Saturday to be in front of that TV at 6 o'clock in the morning to watch Rage TV, which is just music videos on repeat. And I was just watching that for hours. So that love of music definitely has stuck with me. And then when I turned 18, I had a bit of a passion for photography. I became a nightclub photographer, dived into that world. And then I noticed when I was working a lot in these nightclub settings, doing photography, videography, you name it, I was just getting so mesmerized by the DJ, the artist that would be playing, and just seeing, you know, them up on the decks and all, you know, the crowd just looking at them. It's like looking to that person for the good time. They're like the vibe selector. And that was just like, no, I actually want that instead of being a photographer, videographer. So I went down that route. Was doing kind of like a bit of both for a little bit, where I would be like, hey, I'll shoot your event and then I'll also play your event. I did lose a little bit of the passion for photography, but that's also because I just kept getting distracted, and photography takes a lot of time, patience, and persistence with editing side of things. I really like just taking the photos, and like that was me. So I went down the DJ route, and honestly, I've never looked back. I absolutely love it. Still doing it to this day. We're doing the DJing for a couple of years, and then decided I'm gonna make music. So been making music for, you know, a little while now. So, you know, DJ, artist, and also running my own events every so often through Perth and, you know, worldwide. I would go over to the UK every so often. It's pretty much like the second home. I kind of went off on a bit of a tangent, but yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell.
I love that. I love that. But take us back.
Okay.
And what was your upbringing like? And where you from in Perth?
All right, so I was born in the Murdoch area. So if you're in the city, maybe about like 15, 20-minute drive south, not really that far out. And my upbringing was, it was a good upbringing. You know, I had no complaints. My mum and dad really did everything they could and still continue to this day, do everything that they can in their power to always look after me and my sister, you know, make sure that they were always there for us, and, you know, helped us out in like every single regard. I definitely have a combined music taste from both my parents, and I think that's what's kind of merged into like my music taste now. So my dad, he's an old boy, you know, brought up in very, you know, let's call it old school traditional values, and he loves his, you know, rock music, AC/DC, Led Zeppelin, that sort of stuff. So I definitely love listening to a little bit of that. And that's what kind of got me as well into like the heavier side of things, which I'll touch back on very shortly. And with my mum, she always, and still does, listens to a lot of dance music. So, you know, when I was growing up, it was a lot of Sophie Ellis-Bextor in the house. Even Shania Twain. Apparently, funny story, and I can't even believe I'm actually about to say this right now because it's going to be pretty damn hilarious. When I was a toddler, I used to dance around the house in my nappy to Man, I Feel Like a Woman by Shania Twain. And that is just like the key sort of memory that like my mum always just reminds me of, and she would just put it on randomly, like when I'll be over at her house, and she'd just be like, go on, Michael, do a dance. I'm like,
the nappies come out?
No, they don't. We'll leave that for back in the day.
Back in the day, we won't bring that forward. And so you say you have a pretty nice upbringing. Your parents very supportive, and you know they're two very different tastes of music from your parents.
Yes.
Like, so when you cast your mind back at that, did you fall in love with music at that age, or did you not really know what that was?
I didn't really know sort of like genres, if you will, at that age. I knew that I liked music, and I think where it really started is, you know, I was listening to this music and listening to all different kinds, and you know, that's where I was like, oh, I really like this and I really like this. And then I learned about Rage TV. So that's where I just got addicted, and being in front of the TV and just seeing like, you know, okay, song playing in the background, but then, you know, you got these people dancing, you've got this visual artwork going on crazy. And then you just got this random like graphic that just makes no sense or context to the song. But I was a young kid at that age. So I was just like, this is awesome. This is sick. So I just knew that I loved music, and I just always was listening to music. And that has always been a key staple thing in my life from, you know, when I was really young, still to this day, and to when, you know, I am continue doing life and going to, well, you know, pretty much die. I'm always going to be listening to music and enjoying it.
I love that. And you obviously, I mean, so cliche, right? But music brings people together.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when you look back at your early days and your love for music and sharing those moments from both sides of your parents with different genres and so on, the core memory there is like, you know, when we spoke about technology earlier on, but in you saying you went from photography to, you know, wanting to go in depth with becoming a DJ because you liked what they were doing.
Yeah.
What were some of the challenges you faced?
So is that from going from photographer to being a DJ?
Well, look, maybe with the question where I'm going with this is like, you started as a photographer, you like the music, you started in photography, you started going into...
Would you like me to tell you the story, how I got into photography and then how I got into DJ?
Michael, you take away. So
Right,
you have the stage. Please go for it. You see where I'm going with the question.
I do.
I want to see the struggles that you potentially went through, because I'd love to know what kind of camera you had first of all, right? But you take the stage and you tell us your journey.
So when, obviously, I've pretty much given you the rundown of what I was like as a kid. I wasn't the smartest person. I probably still am not the smartest person. Always getting distracted. School for me was just like another place to obviously be. I was a little bit of a shit stirrer, especially in high school, but just not taking life seriously. I am diagnosed ADHD, and I probably should have been back then, but you know, the awareness of it back then wasn't as prominent, and I was getting by with life and I was having fun, so it was no harm, no foul. But when I was in high school, I was always at the skate park. I was riding scooters, skateboards, BMX. They even did rollerblading for a bit. And just doing that, getting fitness in every weekend after literally finish high school, and you literally just go straight to the skate park and just, you know, spend a couple hours there, not doing any homework, because who does homework, right? And it was because of that I think like maybe my 15th or 16th birthday, I got a DSLR camera. I think it was a Nikon D3400 or something like that.
Oh, yes,
Yep.
right, yes.
And yeah, I just would then kept taking that to the skate parks, you know, and I started taking photos and videos of my mates, and, you know, kind of getting into a bit of like the sport photography space. Never thought I was going to do anything so serious with it, but I just seemed to be the one that, you know, actually could take a photo, could actually take it at the right time, where it's like, oh, I'm going to do this trick. You need to get it at the right moment. So I'd be like, okay,
the right frame rate.
Yeah, exactly. But I didn't even know what frame rate was. I was just like, I'm just going to try to use this. And that's the whole point of it, what I enjoyed, and I continue doing that. Now, when I left high school and all of our friend group started turning 18, my birthday's in October, so I was one of the last of the friends out of the whole big group to turn 18. So everyone was turning 18, and I think someone in like the January, February time was like, hey, you have a camera. Can you shoot my 18th birthday? And I was like, I mean, I can, but I've never done it before.
But you gave it a go.
Well, I definitely did give it a go. I think I got paid $50. There were just beers there, and it was actually the most wildest house party ever. Pretty sure cops had to come shut it down, like, I don't know, midnight or something.
Yep.
It was like somewhere in like Hammy Hill down in Fremantle. But like, I was so nervous going into it because I was like, I've never done this before, but it's just literally talking to people. And I was just like, hey, you guys want a photo? Cool, yeah. And, you know, a couple of drinks, people get, you know, a little bit more relaxed. So it's like, yeah, photo, woo, yeah, great. And after that, I was like, actually, that wasn't so scary. So then what happened from there is everyone start of my sort of friend group just started asking me, hey, can you take, photos? I bet, yep, cool. Started making a little bit of cash from it. I was like, okay, cool. Then I turned 18, and then I got hit up by a promoter that was doing a weekly Wednesday night in the rooftop of Metro's Fremantle. It was called Next Gen, and they're like, hey, yeah, we're needing a photographer. Would you be down? I had like a decent sort of setup by then, so I was like, yeah, cool, like let's do it. So I did that for like 2 odd years. I then met my best friend Furman Asman, so shout out to him, because he brought me on as a photographer to take a lot of his nights out. And then from there I just sort of took the reins, went with it. Was able to shoot festivals like GTM. It was around Listen Now even 1 year. And just shoot all around some of the best nightclubs that Perth has to offer.
But you say you were 18 and you're now 20, so that's 10 years ago, right? So how would you have shared that content? I mean, today anyone would shoot content, they would share it on their TikTok, they would share it on their Instagram, as far as Facebook, etc. But rewind 10 years ago, I think 10 years ago that was just Facebook back then.
It was. You're right.
So how did you given the tools we have today to be able to self-promote and build a brand for ourselves, how did you're saying someone reached out to you to come and shoot that club? Yep. How?
I think that happened through word of mouth. This guy, this promoter, he was attending house parties, and I think, he asked around like one of my other friend groups who name was, and then, because I remember him adding me and I had no idea who he was, and then he just sent me a message on Facebook Messenger. I had a Facebook page called MC Photography. I think I still actually have it. I don't think I've ever taken
dig
that
one back up.
I probably will, yes.
That would be so interesting. That would be good to see.
Terrible photos and probably terrible editing because I had never had the patience to do it. But it was
desirable and what people wanted back then, right?
Exactly.
Retro's coming back.
Oh, absolutely. But one thing that I do remember is a lot of people would just message me on my Facebook page, just being like, hey, like your stuff, are you free to do this house party, free to do this sort of event? So Facebook was literally the way back then to, promote yourself and essentially get work,
But did you say self-promote and go and put your photos out there? Did you put two and two together that Facebook back then was good to do that? Because for me, I was studying sound engineering, right? Yeah. So I was at university doing sound engineering, working on sets of like Doctor Who. I worked for the BBC.
Yep.
For me at the time, Facebook, and whether it's my maturity or whether I just did not quite realise, but for me back then was, do you remember the statuses? What are you doing tonight? I am, for me that was very much that, and then sharing some really old first gen iPhone photos. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? The 3Gs and that kind of, there was a night out, that's as far as my knowledge went in regards to marketing. So I would say that, I never thought about Facebook. I could promote something through there. Do you remember any stage of like back then how you bridged that gap?
Yeah. I mean, I think when I knew that I wanted to be into photography, so I was like, right, let's start a page. Let's start actually just uploading stuff. And I would just upload different albums because you can upload multiple different albums. So I just do like, sort of like the sports photography, skate park type stuff. I'd be like, right, I photographed Caitlin's 18th birthday and she wants obviously all the photos up. So cool. I'd edit them. I would then upload them to Facebook and then I'd send her the link like, hey, they're on my photography page. People would then start tagging each other. That's how majority of people were then seeing it. And then from that, the natural progression was people then just started to DM me, at me on my personal account. And then without even probably realizing it, I think that's where it clocked for me. I'm like, okay, I just keep doing this and I'm going to get some bookings. And that's essentially how I promoted myself back then. And then that's how I was able to meet, as I said, my best mate Furman. He brought me on as one of his photographers back in the day to help, with his workload because he had just a plethora because he was running Next Level Perth back then. And he was,
what is I would 10 years ago. No, I would that no.
Next Level Perth what's all that about? The business that he had where it was just all media covering all the hotspots in Perth. So there was a monthly bass night called Basement. He was always the photographer for that one. Always shooting all like the best and top tier WA festivals. He was just kind of like doing it all. And he had a bucket load of work. And then, that's how I met him. He, brought me on, taught me a lot of like photography and editing side of things. And yeah, that's how our friendship sort of developed from there. And then kept on doing that until I then, had that realization. I was like, right, I actually like music more as the focus, and I want to learn to be a DJ.
That's so good. And I just love the fact that, I think we spoke before we came on here that we were saying that at face value, Michael's a DJ. Yeah. Right? You got all your content about DJ and everything, but that backstory of that artistic side, where it started and how you came to realize that something worked, on the Facebook and sharing that and people tagging. Now, let's fast forward a little bit and kind of go from, your photography, meeting Furman, getting into the nightclub scene, which naturally, you fell even more in love with DJing.
Yeah.
Stage name back then? You gone through you've gone through a rebrand?
Gone through a rebrand.
How many times have you gone through a rebrand? And
I've only done one rebrand.
Which is this current one?
This current one. So back then when I started getting into DJing, I went to Lab 6 to learn how to DJ, right? And I always knew that if I was going to take this seriously, I needed to get taught seriously. So Lab 6 was easy decision for me. And I remember my teaching instructor, his name was Luke Chang, or DJ name just Chang.
And Luke Chang, yeah. Is he still around?
Yeah, he's a lawyer now. Yeah.
Right. I do remember Luke Chang.
Yeah. He was...
Wow, that rings a bell. So not so much on the scene anymore, in regards to DJing?
No, I mean, he's focused on... he studied a lot to get his law degree.
Yeah,
and
right.
then I think he's working for a certain business, or maybe he's got his own firm or something like that. I'm not too sure. I am a little bit out of touch, but I know that he's got that focus there. I think he might do some weddings here and there.
Okay.
But the best teacher to ever have... he really helped put things into perspective, and stage name was one of them. I remember we did this one lesson where it's you got to think about, a lot of different things when it comes to stage name, but the main concept and the main thing to figure out is, make sure it's true to you and it's actually something that you want to be, sort of called and people to know. So that sort of really resonated with me, and I was like, what do I call myself? And at that point in my life, so my last name is Caird. So that was the second part to the name, but the first part was Kid. So I used to call myself Kid Caird. And where the Kid came from was I developed a bit of a nickname when I was going out, because people always mistook me for being a lot more older. I'd meet someone out on an average night, they'd be like, oh, hey, what do you do? I'd be like, all right. At that time, I was a photographer running essentially my own photography business, doing that work. I was working full-time in a retail shop. I was also doing some promoting for a bass night called Syndicate. And then I think I was doing another 2 other things on the go, as you do when you're 18, 19, 20. And after I'd say that, they'll be like, oh, how old are you? I'd be like, 19. They'd be like, what the hell?
You're just a kid.
You look so much more older, and you're doing all of these things that, we thought you would be 25, 6, 7. You're still a kid.
Yeah.
And then that's where the nickname sort of came from. People would be like, oh, Kid, what's up, Kid? Hey, Kid. So I was like, okay, at that time, put the two together, because Caird is definitely something I wanted to always have, and I still always want to have in the name, because it still gets misspelled and people pronounce it wrong still to this day.
I might even say it wrong.
Oh,
Kid, I have multiple times.
You have multiple
and
times.
That's not
I pull you up on it every single time.
Kid.
Caird.
Actually, you in my phone, you're still Kid Caird.
Fantastic.
You're not Michael. You're still Kid Caird in my phone. Kid, just message me.
You can keep it like that. I'm okay with that. Just now the artist imagery is all just Michael Caird. It's just me. But yeah, Caird, it's spelled Caird, and I get some weird ones where they're like, oh, Michael Caird, Michael. I've had Caird. On one bill, I got billed as Kid Charizard, and I'm like,
that's the Pokemon card, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just as baffled as you are. I was like, why am I? Well, Kid Charizard? Who's that? Looking at that first, who the hell's Kid Charizard? And then, I realized that they thought I was Kid Charizard. That was a long time ago anyway.
Wow. And then, so you came up with your stage name, Lab 6, taught you all the tricks that you need to do, to become a DJ.
Absolutely.
And so let's rewind, maybe about just pre-COVID. I met you at Ice Cream Factory here in Perth.
When I met you, It was Ice Cream Factory Festival. Might have been like the second or third one. I can't exactly remember.
Very fresh.
Yeah, but back then I was completely doing all DJ sort of stuff. I'm pretty sure I would have stopped my photography prior to that.
I think you were double teaming with Furman.
Yes.
Were you doing double? What do you call it? Sorry, the DJ.
We were called Not All Bad DJs.
That's right. Yeah. Yes. That's where I think I came in.
Yes, and when I met you, I had just started dabbling in music production. So that was I had been doing DJ all work around Perth, and a tiny bit around Australia for a few years. And then obviously met yourself, and that was around the moment where I was dabbling into some music production, which actually I went back to Lab 6 to learn how to make music.
That's incredible. And so it sounds like Furman was very much a bit of a mentor to you.
Yeah, he was. To a certain extent. He definitely showed me a lot of, nightlife industry, sort of, do's, don'ts. He's really a whiz when it comes to like marketing. He can also build a website like so goddamn quick. He's such a well-experienced person in so many different areas. It's crazy. We obviously just, became really, really, really good friends, when we were both working photography gigs, and then he was also DJing as well. I learnt to DJ. We then obviously formed Not All Bad DJs, and we were very fortunate enough to, play a lot of big acts. We opened up for Arl, Grime and Bauer back when it was at Belvoir Amphitheatre. We hosted a main stage for Origin Fields, where like Rufus de Sol were playing, the Veronicas.
Wow. Do you get to meet them?
Yeah, absolutely.
You get to hang out with them? Like, hang out? Like, do you just, hey, I'm Michael? Like,
yeah. We'll just be like, hey, Michael, keen for your set, whatever, just general chit-chat.
And so let's pause there for a moment. Yeah. Like, any young aspiring DJs, right? They're probably saying, okay, they're doing their house music, they're doing this. And so, I mean, this wouldn't have been possible, am I right in saying, without Furman? Would you have been able to do this without him?
I think it is always possible, and I could have done it, but it wouldn't have been the same experience without him. You know what I mean? Yeah. We developed Not All Bad DJs because we both had our strong suits and our really, desires, if you will, of music. I was always the house music, dance music side of things. He was always the, hip-hop, R&B side of things, and that kind of developed into a bit of like trap bass, that side of things. So that's why we created Not All Bad DJs, because it's like, they're not all bad, because we are not all bad.
Yep.
And it was a complementing of two styles coming into one. Whereas if I were to do it just by myself, it would be mainly more predominantly house music, which I don't have a problem with. I love house music, and I know a lot of people out there do. But I think it was what really was able to, get bookings was the complementary styles of both of us.
Our producer's telling us to have a break.
Okay.
We'll have a break. Should we have a break? Okay, brain breaks. Let's have a brain break.
Let's have a brain break.
Let's have a brain break. Okay, we'll come back to you in a minute. Welcome back. Commercial. We're sorted. We're all good.
Happy days.
Happy days. So, we were talking about, your combination, your two different styles with you and Furman, which attracted something a bit different to what the industry... Well, there weren't exactly two different musics, but you were gelling them together on stage to bring... Would you say unique experience, right? Yep. Now, was there anything that stood out that Furman has taught you?
The things that stand out to me that Furman has taught me is to be professional but also have fun. It's a weird one when I say it, because people that know Furman also know that he is one of the most professional people and can lock in when he needs to, but then also he isn't that. And then he's also, lazy, always come up with excuses, always up for like a laugh, banter. But I've always respected that, he's doing what he wants to do and he can get it done, and it always gets it done. And then also, is sort of having fun. It's always just something that, I've looked up to. So that's something that he's, essentially taught me without actually properly teaching me, if that makes sense.
Because, I mean, he's had his attitude and his way of acting around you would have rubbed off onto you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So I think that like any creative or anyone in any work industry, if they can find themselves a mentor and you know, feed off what they've done, and then sort of like really absorb, because a mentor's like, it's a teacher, but it's someone that guides you. They've done it before, and they try and teach you the mistakes that they've gone through, so you don't have to go through them, so you can speed up your process of learning, I guess.
And he's 3 years older than me, so I think naturally that's, as you said, is what happened. And, you know, I still will catch up with him every so often, you know, see him out, and, you know, we just obviously talk about, you know, what he's doing, what I'm doing. He's got, you know, a list of new endeavors that he's doing. I've got a list of new endeavors I'm doing, and, you know, it's great.
So you headlined some pretty big festivals in Perth.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. And then, so we were very fortunate to headline quite a few big festivals in Perth. And then the Not All Bad DJs, we decided to sort of end it, because I was really getting into more music production and more my house music. And we just made the decision that was obviously the right call for both of us to be like, right, Furman had his endeavors, I think, with the nightclub he was running, Club Humble, and wanted to focus more on that sort of music, and I wanted to focus more on that. So you know, that decision was made, and that was all good. But I do recall and remember this part of my life where I was getting some really good bookings, and big bookings as well, to support some amazing artists, and they were wanting obviously all house music, and you know, that's what essentially I was given it. And you know, I was able to support Abstract and a Holy Goof at Villa. It was a sold out show. That was nuts. I played before him, and played a whole bunch of, like, you know, daytime party festivals all around Perth, and this was just before I went to go and live in the UK for a bit, but I closed the main stage at Snack Festival, which was like a 16,000 person capacity venue.
That's huge.
I played after Shock 1. So we played drum and bass, and I was playing house music. It was huge, but I was shitting myself. Because, like, he's playing drum and bass, and it's Shock 1, you know? Majority people that know drum and bass music, I would assume, know who Shock 1 is. And credit to him, he did his set, I'd say 80% of his set was a house music set, and that's what it was branded as, and that's what Snack branded it as. So I was like, oh, sick, you know, Shock 1 doing a house music set. But there's no way that Shock 1's going to play a set and not play any drum and bass. I knew that was going to happen. So I remember being like 10 minutes, rock up, you know, backstage, and then I just hear drum and bass playing, and I'm like, shit, how am I going to get out of this?
Right, yeah. And you know, you do these big sets and these big festivals, and you're saying you come into contact with these artists. Has there been any moments coming across these artists that might have given you, like, moments of inspiration, like any tips before you go on? Like, do you ask them, or is that not cool to sort of, hey, like, or do they just like, you'll be all right, you'll be fine? Like, do they give you a bit of like, oh, you're before me and that kind of thing, like, or after?
A lot of the time, if I'm playing before, if any artist is playing before the main headliner or artist, you know, the chances of you actually getting to talk to the artist before you actually jump on is very low, because a lot of the time artists will rock up maybe like 30-ish minutes before their set.
Right.
So, you know, they're like relaxing. They're either like sleeping, napping back at the hotel, getting ready, doing whatever it is that they do. So it is a bit rare to, you know, get that chance. So, like, obviously do that. But then if you stay around, obviously for their set, and you get to, you know, chat to them, you know, you can obviously ask them questions there. A lot of the time though, I didn't really ask for like any tips or anything, and that's not because I didn't want to like ask him that sort of question. Like, it was nothing to do with that. I just wanted to have a chat with them. You know, these artists, they're human beings.
Yes.
You know, and like, when you put in perspective, they're on the road touring. Their sleep schedule is out of the window completely. And you know, they probably get a lot of you know, people come up being like, oh, hey, photo. Oh, you're so good. Any tips, all that sort of stuff. So, like, I always just wanted to just get to know them, because, you know, I like their music, and I was able to support them, and absolutely love that. And, you know, that's always the sort of mindset that I've had when just chatting to, you know, artists. And, you know, because of that, I'm really, really good friends with, you know, a lot of artists. You know, you've got DOD. I'm really good friends with him and his tour manager. Shapes, who is Brucey's DJ. Me and my wife actually met him a few years ago when we were at a festival in Bournemouth called Bournemouth Sevens that I was playing, and I met Craig there, and we literally went to the show because they played Higher Grounds last Saturday, just gone. And yeah, he looked after us, and we were able to catch up with him.
How good.
Yeah, there's just chatting to people and just like treating them like a human. It's how you make friends.
Yeah, I love that. And you literally you're going on to my next question.
Oh, sweet.
Your wife.
Yes. My wife.
Sorry,
she's going to kill me for that.
Where does she fit in all this? When did she come along?
Okay, so I actually met my wife, Georgie. I met her in Thailand on an island called Koh Tao. Now, I was traveling, had this 6-month sort of planned trip, not those words. The first half of it was like going to be like holidays. I spent some time in America, went to a music festival in Belgium, spent 2 weeks in Tokyo with a good friend of mine. And then that was the first half, so first 3 months. The second 3 months was going to be like work. So do a DJ season in Thailand, do a DJ season in EOS Greece. And then I was finishing off in the UK where I was just going to, set some meetings up, talk to some people over there, and then call that a trip. So when I get to Thailand, the first day I get there, I meet Georgie, and I instantly think, wow, she's beautiful. And then from there, it just grew into, holiday romance, and I knew pretty quickly, I was like, yeah, she's the one for me. She took a little bit longer because I was and will be her first official boyfriend, and then obviously partner and husband. And yeah, like she actually knew that obviously I was going to Greece and do a DJ season on EOS, which does have a bit of a reputation of, very party island. People go there for a certain reason. I'm sure you can read between the lines and what I'm trying to say on that one. And she, and I do not blame her whatsoever, but, she was obviously a little bit nervous of me going there because she just kind of, has spent a few weeks with me, doesn't really know me in depth. So I remember like sitting her down, like, if I have a chance with you to make this thing, like, that's it. Like, I am yours, and I will prove that to you.
Wow. So so really that was that decision making of like kind of going, I either continue my trip or I...
Well, no, I continued the trip, but I did it with, being in a relationship with her.
Oh, with her. Yeah. Okay.
So, and she wasn't in EOS. She lives in Cornwall, the UK. So she had to go back home. And so, anyone would be nervous, would be stressing at that point. So, and I would if I was in her shoes as well. So that's where like I picked up on, these like so things that she was doing, and I had to sit her down and be like, if I have a chance with you, like that's it. Like I am with you, and I will show you that I can do this. Like you have, like I will give you my trust and like put all of it into it. And yeah, I remember getting to EOS and meeting everyone, and I'd just be like, hi, my name's Michael. So this is my girlfriend, Georgie. She's from the UK, all that sort of stuff. That actually set it up really great because people were like, okay, new worker on the island, he's off limits because he actually has a girlfriend. And that actually did me even more favors because the bar that I'd work in, so your average bar like opens up like 10, 11 o'clock at night, goes all the way to 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
It's very bar hopping like in EOS Greece. So you get like big groups of people coming in, and they're always just sort of new people. Now, when someone sees a DJ up on the decks, people are like, oh my God, it's the DJ. So people, come, want to take photos or, do the, I'm a DJ, which, is pretty fucking annoying, not gonna lie. But anyway, and whenever there'd be like, so like groups of girls sort of up there, I would be just so focused on my work. Like I wouldn't even like notice it half the time because I'm just like, trying to do what it is that I love.
But you're trying to also read the crowd, right? Correct. So you're really focused on making sure you deliver the goods,
Absolutely.
Right? In regards to
because
music.
I am a professional and I treated it always like a professional, job. And
but when you're on stage, you make it look like you have so much fun.
Exactly. Because you do have to have a bit of fun. Anyway, when these people would come up and all that, the team that I worked with that would be like on the floor and behind the bar, they would clock it and instantly act on it and be like, no, you're not allowed up here, but you go to this person here and you go to this person.
Wow, so they looked after you.
I had like my own security team without actually having it. It was great.
That's so good.
Shout out to the Delta House crew because that was sick.
That's so good.
Yeah.
And so you go there, Georgie's back at home in the UK.
Yep, and I spent like maybe about 6-7 weeks at EOS, and then I was finishing this trip off in London, so she met me up in London. I met her parents, spent some time down in Cornwall because that was meant to be like a bit of a business sort of like trip, but if anything,
What, to BBC Radio 1? Or what business were we talking about here?
Well, it was, I didn't even really know what the business was. I knew that house music and dance music in the UK is always thriving, number one.
Massive.
And that's where I just knew I wanted to be there. And I didn't think that far ahead of it. I was like, okay, I'll go there and then, play it by ear, see what I can do for it. So it actually worked out well that I met Georgie. She actually showed me a bit around because she's from the country, got my tourist on, got to meet, her mum and dad, see where she grew up. And it actually just added more memory to the trip.
Love that.
So that's how, she came.
And you came back here, though, didn't you, with her?
Yeah, I came back here for a few months. She then came out for a couple of weeks for a holiday. She then went back. We did long distance for about 5-ish months.
Okay.
She then, came back out. And originally what the game plan was, we were going to do like 3-ish months in Perth. We were then going to go back to Koh Tao and do like another 3-4 months there because we absolutely love the island. But COVID happened, and that threw a spanner in the works.
And I was going to, again, you're very good. This is if you're reading my iPad right now. But my next question, COVID hit.
Yes.
And this is almost like I've really immersed myself in what you were doing.
Okay.
Which was incredible.
That's nice to know.
No, I was, because I think I was one of the guys probably DMing you and annoying you, going, when you releasing these next Kid Reacts or Ked Reacts, something like you were like, oh my God, that's a banger. And then it would just,
it was called TikTk Track Reacts.
Track Reacts, yeah. There you go. So, and then I was like, oh my God, this is great, because that was exposing new dance tracks, bangers, right? They were like, this is cool. I'd listen to that I would never come across, right? I'd have to sit there on Spotify and just hope for the best that someone will come along, right? Someone that just listens to music very 2D, right?
Exactly.
And so when you started doing that during COVID, and because obviously COVID in the UK was a lot harsher than what it was here.
Yes, it was.
What struggles did you find? Did you really put question marks about, is this going, because we didn't know how long this is going to last, right? Yeah. What did you do to overcome those issues?
All right, so to answer that question, I have to give a little bit of like a bit more sort of guts and a bit more information behind it. So me and Georgie were in Perth in that March, I think it was 2020 time, where COVID happened and pretty much everywhere went into lockdown. Now, Perth, we were very, very fortunate that we weren't actually in lockdown as long as say, over East was and places like the UK, States, etc. So because of that, Georgie was actually able to go home around that June, July time because, Perth was in a good position there. I had always wanted to do a 2-year working holiday visa in the UK. And at that point, I was like, right, I think it's good. Georgie's come over quite a couple of times to, essentially live out here, be there. I think it's my turn now to go over there. So I was like, right, made the call. And I got everything booked. And that was the last day of October, I think I touched down there, like 30th, 31st, how many other days are in October. And I remember this day quite clearly, but I remember touching down in Heathrow. It was about lunchtime. Georgie and her dad came and picked me up and we drove all the way down to Cornwall. Now, that's like about a 5.5 hour drive. So I still thank them to this day for picking me up because if I had to catch a train down there...
Oh, it's doable. It's straight down the M4. I can tell you straight around the M25, straight down the M4. You catch the red bus all the way down, right? And you just come off before you go to Cardiff.
Yeah.
So I know exactly how to get there, right? Done the trips to Cardiff. Have you been to Cardiff? Did you go to Cardiff?
I think I've been so many places in the UK, I can't actually remember. I don't think I've been to Cardiff though.
Okay, Cardiff is that was my city. When I was studying, it was so good, right?
So
but I'm from Essex, right? So, I mean, the music and the club stuff goes hard. I think it goes hard anywhere in the UK, but I would say that the Cardiff has got a soft spot for me because that's where I did all of my clubbing days.
Yeah. So basically, what you're saying is go to Cardiff next time, which I will
go to Cardiff next time. The Welsh know how to party.
Okay, I remember we get down to Cornwall. I get my bags into the house and we turn on the TV, and I think it was like a BBC Radio 1 sort of like, news presenter was like, 6 p.m. tomorrow night is when the UK is going to go into their second lockdown. And I'm just watching that news channel broadcast station just like, holy shit. If I would have left Perth 24 hours later, I wouldn't have been allowed to be let into
Madness.
UK, the country.
Yeah.
So thank God I left when I did. But this... lockdown was the one that lasted, I don't know, something stupid like 10 or 12 months. So I did set myself up though that when I was going to the UK, I was doing this obviously prior, but I worked a lot of different jobs ever since I was 18. Probably the ADHD, and that's fine. But I was saving up quite a lot, and I was like, okay, well, when I make this call, go to the UK, I've got these savings. What I actually will do is I will use some of this savings that I don't actually have to ideally work for the first year, let's say.
Yeah.
That was always tentative because, I didn't know like what was sort of essentially going to happen. Originally, we were all thinking, and I think everyone was thinking this, that COVID was just going to be gone. So by the time I got to the UK, we could literally just do what we want. Obviously, spanner in the works, COVID was still around. And yeah, so because I had that mindset, I was like, right, I do have some savings, and I did actually have to really sort of work for 6-8 months, which was good. The reason why that was good is because I was in lockdown, so in a house, we weren't allowed out. Georgie was actually able to get I think it was like first responders or like essential work. I forget what the location was, but she was able to, get some money, and she wanted to obviously do that just to, keep her day-to-day life busy, which I completely understand. Yeah. So the challenge was, okay, what do I do in this time? Because COVID is obviously around. I treated music production like a 9-to-5 office job, where I would work Monday to Friday. I would, wake up still as like anyone would for the office, get your coffee, your breakfast, do a workout, whatever it may be, shower, get ready for work, and, go to the office, which was like a computer sort of desk that they set up in the attic for me because they knew that I really wanted to do music production. And then I was just making music, and I had not sent anything off to like a label. So during that COVID time, I learned a lot about, okay, what labels are, how many there are, and actually how to send out music to it. I did that and was able to get a bunch of releases. I think I had that goal that year. I was like, okay, if I get 3 label releases, I would be, happy, right? And I think I ended that year on something like 20 plus different label single EP releases. And that's just because I was just, talking to people by email, by Instagram, through different platforms.
Because everyone's on socials then.
Exactly.
Then people know, that's right. Yeah.
And my music production skill set back then was obviously not as good as to what it is to this day. Because, you always got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
So I actually spent a lot of time just like honing in the craft and learning something. TikTok has actually done me wonders, especially in COVID and still to this day.
Really?
I've learned so much of like music production, little like tricks, tips, because TikTok generally is that short form content. It's got to be like that quick, let's say 15 or 20 second sort of video. So a lot of the time it would just be like, hey, here's how to make your bass lines punch. You need to do this trick. You need to do that. And I'd be like, all right, well, if this person's saying, I'll give it a go. I'll see.
Put it into action.
I'll literally rewatch the video while I've got my door open, apply the changes or whatever it is, and then I would just listen, right? I'd listen and actually see if I could hear the difference. It's called an A and B test, right? When you apply like an effect or apply something on it, you do the A, which is with the effect on or the adjustment on, and the B is with it off. And you just keep like turning it on and off to really, really train your ears. And that's what I would do, because even back when I learned how to DJ and all music, one of the biggest things I got taught is you really need to listen, and if something sounds right, it sounds right to you. So that's what I would be doing, is like, right, okay, I've learned something new, but I want to actually see if it is something that I think would actually sound good to me. So there are a lot of times I'd learn this, I'd be like, yeah, okay, I can hear it, but do I really, is that something that I'm trying to achieve? Yes or no? Majority of the time it was. So I'd be like, cool, that's something learnt. If it's like a preset, something, save that, on to the next. And as I said, I've learned so much of these little sort of intricate things from TikTok. And it is an educational platform at the end of the day. That's what they brand it as. So yeah, use TikTok for music production tips. I mean, that's my advice.
And this is the thing that a lot of businesses we work with, they will question our TikTok, and then the mindset is still teenagers dancing on there and having fun with the platform. But I think that, there's one lady, and there's one lady I think I think she's called Crazy Anne. Okay. I don't know, and she must be, bless her, in her 70s.
Okay.
And she basically mimes old school like dance tracks, but she'll have like 2 pots and pans in the kitchen, and then she'll just kind of like pretend, and she'll just pretend to drop the beats. And I think it's Crazy Ann. Something Ann. I'd have to look it up, but honestly, it just and I show that TikTok to clients that come to us, and they'll go, "Oh, we're not sure if that's the right platform." I say, "No, that's all good. That's fine. Maybe your clients might not hang out on that, but just be open-minded to know that this lady must be in her 70s. She still knows how to use. She's using TikTok, and her audience of obviously music people. Whether you're watching it for pure entertainment or you love her for what she's doing, it just shows that like the platform has got no age bracket,
and it shows that if you really love something, do it. Who cares? Honestly,
love that.
Just do it. And in age, like, what you'd think that she's in her 70s, what she probably is. I full applaud that. Like, that's awesome that, she likes music. She most likely likes entertaining, making content because she's filming herself. So she's doing all these things that are creative.
Yep.
Fucking, hey, like, great stuff.
Celebrate it.
I love it. Yeah.
I think it's great. And so COVID sort of came when you married Georgie.
Yep.
And then let's fast forward to the rebrand. What was that like?
Okay.
What happened? What was the rebrand from Kid to Michael?
Okay, so I was Kid for a very, very long time. I reckon I've been DJing, let's call it 8-ish years. So I only rebranded to Michael Caird last year. So call it 7 and 3/4 of a year I was Kid Caird. So COVID happened, we got out of lockdown. Made a bit of a name for myself at that time in a few clubs areas in London. Married Georgie. We then came back here and just continued to make music, progress that one. Now with the rebrand of Michael Caird, I was having this thought, for quite a while, but I enjoyed the Kid Caird imagery and the brand of, it was the whole here to have fun always, and not take life so seriously, and obviously deliver energy, right? Now that is still true to who I am, and that's why the rebrand name hasn't been like an obvious change, because there's still Caird in it, because that still is me.
Yeah, that's right.
But as I said, I'm 28, and I obviously getting older, as everybody does. But I couldn't really align myself with calling myself Kid Caird, because am I kids? No, and then I was like, okay, should I be looking at myself in more of like a professional artistry, like imagery, all these sorts are obviously coming to my head. And then I was like, well, hang on, no, but like, I like to have a bit of fun. I like to enjoy life. I like to do all that side of things. And then it was just like a bit of a cycle of all of these sort of like thoughts. And I was just kind of like, well, I think a rebrand needs to be done, but what would I call myself? And then I was like, you know what? How about Michael Caird? That's my name. And that is just real. It's me. It's who I am. And who I am is now someone that is, if you will, a seasoned professional in a lot of creative different fields. And as I've said before, I plan to be just involved and immersed in music till the day I die.
I love that.
So I'm not doing this for any random reasons. I literally just want to listen to music, make music, perform it, be immersed in it, create video content around it, whatever it may be. Teach it, which I actually am teaching it. So I've made mention, I've went to Lab 6 quite a few times to learn to DJ. I did 2 courses of music production there. I am now a teacher/instructor there.
Wow.
So
from student to teacher.
Full circle moment, I know, right? So yeah, that's essentially the thought process behind it. Then I was like, right, we're going to go with Michael Caird. And the whole Michael Caird rebrand is, I just love house music. I love all sorts of house music. Now so tech house is always the bread and butter. Tech house, the more bassier side of tech house. Just anything that has a really good gritty bass line and that would just make someone want to instantly dance. That's what I'm making. But I also love, funk and disco. I love deep house, melodic house, UKG, bassline, techno, all of that.
There's so many different genres, right?
To be
honest, when I listen to it, it just vibes with me. Like I just vibe to it, and I'm like, cool. And then when people go, oh, it's this, I'm going, mate, I don't know what it is, but I just like it.
Yeah.
Right? And there's so many different variables to like different, is it all to do with the bass line?
It's to do, well, bass line's always a part of it, but it's also to do with like the energy, the sort of style, like a techno track is heavy in like your kick and your bass line, and it's always like a rumbling sound. Whereas if you've got funk and disco bass lines are just super simple. It's normally like a bow, bow, 2, 3, bow, bow,
Bow, bow.
and
There's
a lot of more other elements in the funk and disco, like a lot more instruments, like your trumpets, saxophones. Then you need to make room for the vocalists, where techno generally has like a one vocal loop, like get your hands up, and then just like continue going, because the kick and the bass line heavily drive that. So different genres will always have different elements to it. But as you guys now know, I've been listening to music, and a lot of different music ever since young. So I've always enjoyed listening to it. So with the Michael Caird rebrand, I'm making all kinds of house music, and a common terminology in the DJ world is, you ideally want to take someone on a journey, really try get them immersed in the music as much as you can. Now, this has actually been a challenge, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to me on this, and I will say this, but trying to get someone to really get involved in a journey and immerse in a journey with the current, essentially the current day and age that we're in of, social media, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, the quick content, the attention spans are just getting shorter and shorter. Mm. It's becoming super, super and incredibly way more difficult to do that. And I've noticed it for a long time, and it's something that isn't going to change. It is going to happen where people don't have that time anymore, and people want to, everything quick. It's always instant. We want something now. We want something now. So that is the challenge that people face, is like, we would love to take someone on a journey, but that takes, time of like, hey, you really got to listen to a song in a full sense and then take it on to the next journey. So that, yes, has been a challenge, but a way that I've combated that and have done this for some time, and I do this with the Michael Caird project, and the goal behind it is I want to showcase the music that I'm working on, and I'm making all different sorts of music. I know that crowds are always going to be different, especially with the cities that you visit. The Perth crowd are always different to the Sydney crowd, and Sydney is always different to Brisbane. Brisbane's always different to Melbourne. And the Australian crowd are always different to the UK and Europe. I've seen it multiple times, played multiple times, and just see it happen every single time. So with this music that I'm making, I read the crowd and I pick up on these things, and this obviously comes from experience, and I then go, all right, this crowd, let's say I'm in Europe playing a club and they're really into like their more melodic techno or a bit more of that faster groove house. Cool. Dive into the folder where I've made that sort of stuff, and they still get a Michael Caird production, 2, 3, 4, how many other tracks I decide to play, and mix it within there. But then where the journey then can also be applied is, generally, if you're playing a hard house track or a faster paced track, let's call it anywhere between 135 beat per minute to 140 beat per minute. It can obviously go lower, it can obviously go higher, but let's just use that as an example. Another subgenre of house music, if you will, is UKG. And that's generally a broken beat type style. So that's how you can take someone on a journey and get them displaying different subgenres of house music. You see where I'm going with this?
Wow.
Is that I really want to do what I can and do my part to showcase, hey, I've been playing, let's say, 30 minutes of this tech house set. I'm actually now going to just drop in this funk disco set, break it down, and then build it back up, just to throw little things here and there.
Wow. And so that information is so valuable to someone listening or watching this, right? And I think that's the real core of like, as a consumer of music in a club or in a venue that the DJ's playing. Let's go with Motif that we go and shoot every single year, or you play and I shoot.
Yep.
I will take it at face value. I think that's a banger, whatever. But you are reading literally every single person in front of you, how they're reacting, and then you must be going through that. You almost, okay, that's not working. But then and you got to make that next move is almost vital.
Oh, absolutely.
To really kind of go, this could make or break it.
Yeah.
And could that affect that switch and really understanding, that will showcase whether you get booked the next time or not.
Absolutely. So quick story on this. The last motive that for the season, which was back in January, as you were mentioning, I had a set planned from start to finish on that. And I was like, right, at the time of planning it, I was like, this is going to be, really good. I've got this experience. I know the crowd. I know, the festival, like we should all be good. And I get to the festival, get a couple drinks, and, watching, I think Soulsby was playing before. And he was playing, more the funk disco-y, upbeat type stuff, which is, what I had sort of similar to that. But then I was like noticing the crowd and just the way that they're reacting to it. And I was like, I can't play the set that I've just planned.
Wow.
Because there were definitely moments in it that probably wasn't going to be the right fit. And that could easily be, debated by someone, saying like, well, if, you're getting booked as an artist, you should be playing as an artist. I think, yes, that argument is true. However, you can't just completely have that mindset because, it's not just you. It's the people that create the festival, create all that. You've got to think of all these things. And I am always conscious of that sort of things. So when I was watching, the set, I was like, okay, I can't play this set from the start to finish that I've planned. I really need to, figure out what is that I need to do. The only way I was like, cool. Got up to the decks, plugged my USB in. I played the first couple of songs I had planned in this playlist. I was like, right, I know that they, a good vibe that can obviously continue on the dance floor and whatnot. Yep. Then I started realizing, okay, the songs that I've got sort of next, I'm like, I just don't personally think that they're going to be the best fit. So I was like, right, if I plan a set, I will always add, let's say, for example, it's 30 songs that I plan start to finish for, I don't know, an hour or 2 hours. I will always put another 30 songs in that playlist as similar sort of vibes, similar sort of tracks that I could play there. They're the backup ones. So I went down to, those songs and I was like, okay, I actually think this is going to be a better fitted one for that. So I did that a couple of times and then that continued building up the energy of the crowd at the festival. And then once I was able to really, continue that, I was able to then dive back to the tracks. And yeah, that's just a quick sort of story about how you can plan a set, you can think it's obviously going to be the best, but it is always going to change per set, per environment, per day. And you've got to be ready for that. You've got to be able to adapt to it and just always be mindful of it because there's a lot that goes into running a festival and, you've got to make sure that you are aware of this and, obviously, when you show respect, you get respect back.
Love that.
That's one of my core values is, I want to be respectful no matter who it is. And, that's the story.
Love that. What's next for Michael?
All right, what's next for me? I am basically anything music, right, is what I want to get myself most involved in. But one thing that is going to be coming up recently, and this is actually the first time I'm talking about this on
oh my
platform.
word. So is this breaking news? Exclusive. You hearing that roll? This is exclusive. All right, we'll put the big title on there, even though you might not be editing it, but you just make sure you put a timestamp on that one, okay? Exclusive, go.
So, I have to tell a quick story before we get into the exclusive. So, last year I went to ADE. Now,
can we just explain what
ADE? So
what is ADE?
It's the Amsterdam Dance Event. It's one of, and if not the biggest music conferences that are currently hosted worldwide. And if you're a dance music producer or just any music producer, no matter if it's bass music, house music, techno, hardstyle, whatever, this is the spot to go for. And I have known about this music conference for many, many years, always wanted to go, and I was able to put some things together and actually went to it last year. I was also actually very fortunate to play a couple of shows there because some labels that I'm signed to were like, hey, you're going, we're hosting a party, do you want to play? I'm like, absolutely, why wouldn't I? So it was a really, really great time. I got so inspired, and I still am so inspired from that time there because the sheer amount of networking opportunities and abilities there was just mind-blowing. To give a quick example, I would go, me and my friend we went to a mixer that was actually a disco label's mixer. So we're like, oh yeah, cool, we'll go on there. And then it turns out that this mixer was all the team behind Tool Room Records, which is one of the biggest house music labels worldwide. So, you know, there were just like the managing director was there, booking agents, touring agents, you know, people just like even from like the content team, graphic artwork designers, all that sort of stuff. And you just get talking to people, you just start meeting people. All of a sudden then artists just are coming through. I actually knew a couple of them. So I'm like, hey, what are you doing here? They're like, what are you doing here? Australia's that way and on the other side of the goddamn country. So it just stuff like that was just so good. And, you know, to be in just all in that one place just really has me inspired. And now it's got me thinking, does Perth have something like that? Now, I know that Perth has had, you know, specific like networking nights, like Don DeRocky, Quincy, he's done a few sort of panels and, you know, been giving back to the scene in that sort of way. But I have a background more of, you know, running events and, you know, like that social side of it, right? So I am piecing together an event, which we're at like the it's 95% pretty much going ahead. I can't disclose the date just yet. But basically, this event that I will be running, it will be, let's call it a month and a half's time. And this event, the whole concept behind it is networking, right? I get a lot of my students that I teach at Lab 6 and people that are hitting me up daily being like, hey, could I get your thoughts? Could I get your advice on this? And also anyone that has any questions for me and wants to, you know, just ask me anything, please do. I always will eventually answer my inbox. You know, I am quite busy, as you've obviously, you know, listened to. So I may take some time to get back, but I am always an open book and always, you got a question, ask me. But I do get these questions where people are like, I'm at this level where I've been DJing, let's say 6 months, been doing all this, you know, go out, try to meet these people, and, you know, what's the next steps? How do I progress to, you know, the next level? Because I want to, you know, obviously go sort of more. And, you know, I'm giving them obviously my honest thoughts, feedback. You know, it's like you need to be persistent. You need to be consistent, as everyone will tell you, no matter what creative field that you're in. But with obviously all of that, this now has got me thinking, okay, this event, it's all going to be around networking, right? Each event that I'm going to do, because I'm going to I'm aiming to do this once a month. So the last Sunday of each month is what we're looking at. And concept is going to be around networking. Each event, I'm going to invite down, let's call it 5 to 6 industry professionals, starting off in Perth, because obviously from Perth. And with these industry professionals that come down, they're going to receive 2 stickers on entry, right? The first sticker is going to be one of those ones that goes, hi, my name is, and then just with a little Sharpie, just draw their name on it, right? And then the second one is going to be the sticker where they write who they like, what they do, who they work for. You know, are you a big music producer DJ? Are you a festival runner promoter? Are you a creative artwork designer, web designer, content creator? You name it, the works. This event is for all creatives. It's not just for anyone in the music industry. You know, VJs, photographers, you know, anything that's creative. That is the goal behind it.
So if you're creative and let's say you're a photographer and you want to get into the club scene or whatever that may be, they can link up together in that event, or a DJ trying to, you know, get their sets and try and get some content to, you know, put out there on their social media.
Absolutely.
They get to meet a photographer, say, hey, I'm a photographer, blah, blah, and you're literally creating that face-to-face network.
Exactly, because a lot of the time, and this is something that I've noticed since COVID, that, you know, well, what I've noticed from COVID is people maybe a little bit shy to approach someone, and I get it. It is quite daunting to do it. You know, there are a lot of times where I've felt like a bit shy to, you know, say approach someone, because you kind of have to do it in like a cold call kind of way, like, hi, how you doing? Like all that side of things. So the concept behind this is we're going to run this event and these industry professionals are going to be invited down, and the whole marketing and content behind it is like, when you see these people that have these 2 stickers on them, you know that they're an industry professional.
Yeah.
You know, go and talk to them. It's all about what they make from this event. And, you know, we're giving it sort of like this event, this area where you can go up to someone, talk to them about whatever it is you so desire, and what you can then make from there. It is all up to you. I also plan to do like some other content videos.
You're supplying the space, you're supplying the people,
and the vibes as well.
And the vibes.
Because there will be music, of course. There is no way I'm not running an event without music. So I've got a good stack lineup already booked, locked in place for it. We've got a mixture of industry professionals that are coming down, and all absolute legends in their respective fields. And the goal is to do this once a month. And look, long-term goal would be to grow this all around Australia. If I could build this to a level of ADE or Miami Music Week. I think there's also IBS or IMS Ibiza. One of them. There's other places around in the world that have these sort of like week music conferences. If I can build that for Perth, which is the long-term goal, and I'm going to do everything I can in my power to do it, that's what I'm going to do.
Have you got a name for it?
So it's going to be called, for starting off with, so Michael Caird presents The Backyard.
Love that. Yeah. That's incredible.
Because the backyard, everyone loves the backyard. It's like it is where you can actually meet a lot of new people. Like, hey, go to someone's house for like a barbecue. This is so-and-so, this is so-and-so.
Love that.
And it's, we are very fortunate to be blessed with great weather majority of the time here in Perth. And the venue that we're going to be doing it at, they've got a really, really great setting for exactly the vision that I've got. So that will be getting announced hopefully very soon. And I encourage everyone, whether you are a creative, even if you're not a creative, but all your mates are creatives, come down, show them support. If you just want to meet some awesome people, because these industry professionals, they're people just like yourself, but you can really get some good, valuable insights and just meet a whole bunch of people. I'm going to create this event for everyone, and that's as I said, is the goal.
Maybe Crazy Anne might arrive.
God, I would love it if Crazy Anne.
I think her name's Crazy Anne. I'll have to confirm afterwards, but we'll have to find it. But I said Crazy Anne. I've probably got it wrong, but we know who we're talking about.
Absolutely,
Michael. To sort of finish up with our conversation, there's something that we want to create a bit of a tradition at the end of this podcast.
Yep,
and we called it Brain Breaks because we were immersed in our 9 to 5, creating content, dealing with customer inquiries, etc. And we were like, well, hold on a minute, we need a brain break. We used to sort of like literally break away from the desk and just play darts or just have a conversation. And we just started like just having a chat on a podcast. Didn't go anywhere, but just, let's have a chat, having a brain break.
Yeah.
What we want to be able to do, and you've got to be the first one to kick this off, right?
Ooh,
so
I feel privileged.
Yes, absolutely. So what we would like to do, and I'll give you an example just to make sure that you get the idea of where we're going with this.
Yep.
The whole idea of a brain break, you give yourself maybe, let's say, 30 minutes break from what you're doing, right? And in that 30 minutes, we would like for you to challenge one of the listeners, whether they're a DJ or whether they're an emerging DJ or whether a creative. What could they do in that 30 minutes away from their 9 to 5 that could challenge them, right? To learn something new, or that could elevate their profile in what they're passionate and want to grow into. So I'll give you an example. So for example, we got here this week, try and wake up 30 minutes earlier to work on your morning routine. Share your progress on social media with yourself. The whole idea is the brain breaks. It's not to bring back to this podcast. It's for people to really bring back to you. So there'll be probably someone out there listening, and could you give them a challenge that they could think of, or you could challenge them to think outside the box or something along those lines. Does that make sense? Do you see where I'm going with that?
I absolutely do. And I'm thinking of like a couple of things, but
we just want one. Give the listener or the viewer one challenge they can do, and then they can present that to you through DM, which we'll put all your details in the description.
So the challenge I'm going to set is centered around time management, because that's one of the most valuable skills I've learned in my experience. So I challenge all listeners to set aside 30 minutes a day and plan out your week, figure out what your sort of times that you've got coming up that you will have, say, like an hour or 2 hours or anything. And when you figure out what those sort of times are, and obviously you need to factor in, make sure you're getting your healthy sleep, eating all your food, all that sort of stuff. Obviously you want to adapt those good habits, but each day, 30 minutes, plan in advance of when you can do the thing that you love to do in whatever creative field it is. So if you know that, let's say in 2 days' time, you've got a 2-hour window, cool. Set yourself a reminder. I use the reminders app on my iPhone like a goddamn religion. It is helped me so much, and that's actually helped me manage my time. And I would do this a lot of pretty much every day, where set aside, that 30 minutes and think about, okay, I've got this 2-hour block available, right? And I know that I need to say write a remix in 2 weeks. Well, I've got a 2-week deadline to write this sort of remix. Cool. This 2-hour window is where I'm going to focus purely on that and only that. So be strict with yourself and make sure that, okay, you preset your time. And even you in that 30 minutes, that's nothing to do with your 9 to 5. That's nothing to do with that. You are actually still giving to your creative, sort of work and what it is that you love to do, because planning and managing time, it's all part of that process. So yeah, in a nutshell, set that 30 minutes aside, plan in advance of what, tasks you need to get done, what you may want to do, or what you want to try to achieve, even what you want to learn. And then once you figure that out, lock it in, set it in, do not do anything else. Use the reminders app. It is a godsend, quite honestly. I love it.
Michael, it's been a pleasure.
Pleasure's been all mine.
Thank you so much for coming on to the Brain Breaks, the podcast.
Very much for having me.
It's been incredible. You've shared so many interesting stories and so much value to hopefully the listeners and viewers on here. So thank you so much.
It's my absolute pleasure.